Inbound Edens, 16 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, and outbound at 16 as well. On the Kennedy, it's 35 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 18 from Montrose, 12 in the Express. Outbound 26 minutes downtown to the airport with the exit to Montrose reopened. The Eisenhower, 38 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 27. The Stevenson, 28 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The ride from 95th to downtown at 16 minutes. That's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Partly sunny, breezy. High today 64. Cloudy with a passing shower for tonight, low 35. A partly sunny day tomorrow, the high 45. Plan with confidence this spring. Download the AccuWeather app today. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J. This morning is John Anthony. He is the host of Black and Right Saturdays on these airwaves from 1 to 3 p.m. John, great having you.
Hey, thanks for having me here. These 3 hours flew like quick.
It goes by fast.
Yeah.
Got a lot of ground to cover. Lots of things to talk about, including Nipple Rings Gambino. He is now facing his 10th accuser. He's up to 10 now for those of you scoring at home. Boy, who could have seen this coming for somebody who had, unadulterated, unchallenged power for the last decade in New York. New York resident Sherry Ville, age 55, had a presser yesterday. Gloria Allred at her side. She alleged that Cuomo kissed her in a highly sexual manner 4 years ago. She was discouraged by some family members from filing a complaint back in the day. Her attorney, Gloria Allred, saying her client wanted to report it, but she was discouraged. It's all sort of the same kind, with one exception. I mean, it's unwanted touching, but there is one woman who accused him of sexual assault. So, I mean, it says not only do you have a pattern, you have some serious allegations. It's more than just looking the wrong way or saying something untoward. Right. This is not inconsequential here. And neither, by the way, is the nursing home scandal, which continues to deepen and should not be forgotten. Oh, and neither is the other one with his brother Fredo getting special treatment.
Oh, boy. The
political class. And yet the Cuomos just carry on as if nothing has transpired. Excited to roll out the Excelsior vaccine passport. Sounds so sleek and exciting. For more on all things Cuomo brothers related, we're pleased to be joined again by Karol Markowicz, columnist for the New York Post, contributor to The Spectator and the Washington Examiner. Karol, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, 10 on the women accusing him of improper conduct side, the nursing home scandal. Janice Dean just pounding him again on the nursing home scandal, legitimately so, the other day. And now over the last few days, this Chris Cuomo piece about the special treatment he got on the testing side way back a year ago.
Yeah, and where is the larger media on this? Where are they to say that Chris Cuomo got special treatment and that he left his home while he was actually sick with coronavirus, traveled to another town, was spotted by a bicyclist, got into an altercation with that bicyclist.
Yeah.
Never apologized for any of this.
Right.
And it just really goes to show they live in a different world, the Cuomos and the rest of us. Yeah, we were all home, and we weren't even sick at the time, and nobody was leaving anywhere. This is, in April.
Sure.
And this guy was actually symptomatic and sick and walking around in other towns.
Yeah, Mayor Wilhelm was at the club, and Chris Cuomo's taking a bike ride. It's the rules don't apply to them.
Yeah.
But I mean, but that mentality. I mean, we have it in Chicago too. That sort of deference to the ruling class is part of the psychosis of the electorate, isn't it?
I really don't blame the electorate as much as I blame, again, the media. I think if the electorate still, to some extent, trust the media and trust them to tell them what's important. And when the media ignores stories like this, it sends the message that it just doesn't matter. And so, again, if it was a Republican that had done this, if it was a Republican news, imagine Sean Hannity sick with coronavirus, leaving his home and walking around somewhere, and what the story would be.
Right.
And it's just not right. And I think the media needs to continue to be called out on this because they've handled it atrociously.
Now, how much of this? Hi, Carol. How much of this do you think is his nemesis, the mayor of New York? What's his name?
Wilhelm.
No, New York.
Yeah, that's his real name.
Yeah.
Lauren Wilhelm.
Yeah.
How much of this do you think is coming from his camp? Because Cuomo and this guy, they despise each other so much.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking he wants to be the next governor of the state of Illinois. I mean New York. Well, it's same thing, same difference.
Exactly.
I don't know. The de Blasio administration and Bill de Blasio himself are so inept that I don't know that this is coming from their camp necessarily, from his camp, because they're so out of their
too incompetent.
They really don't have the capacity for this kind of thing.
It's not that he wouldn't want to do it; he's just too incompetent to pull it off. That's
exactly,
nice.
Sounds like
Illinois. Had he been more competent, he would have been fighting back the whole time. They really hate each other. In a story about how Cuomo is abusive to people, there was a detail in it that he has a dartboard with Bill de Blasio's face on it. And of course, that didn't surprise anybody because that's the kind of guy he is.
Well, speaking of the media coverage of this, what about asking all those Democrats who were preening before the cameras to hand wring about the sexual assault allegations, sexual harassment allegations, because, they're such committed Me Too'ers. Where have they gone? I thought they have the power to impeach him. Where is that?
Right. Where's Joe Biden to say that he needs to step down? Biden gave the most mealy-mouthed comment on it. He said that we should wait for the investigation to conclude, and then if something is found, then he should step down. But it used to be believe all women and don't wait for the investigation, and it doesn't matter what your rebuttal to those allegations are. Suddenly it matters a lot because the candidate, the accused is a Democrat.
What happened to the Al Franken standard they used?
Yeah.
Or Brett Kavanaugh.
Brett Kavanaugh.
That's one of the most egregious examples to me, where they believed obviously false stories that made no sense and were total lies, and ran with it in the New York Times and major papers, and nobody said a word.
Since de Blasio can't run again, you got a New York City mayor's race afoot, and Andrew Yang is one of the candidates, and he's kind of interesting. He's a little bit too, one-note Sally with his universal basic income, but in the mayor's race, he's shown a willingness to take on the teachers' unions, which should be applauded no matter who's doing it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. He's encouraging other candidates to take on the teachers' unions. I'm just ultimately worried that a Democrat who wins the mayoral race will still cozy up to the teachers' unions, even if he runs against them. I hope that's not the case. That would be interesting. I would love to see that happen in my city, but it is a concern. And I'm also worried that when the teachers' unions endorse one of these candidates, that candidate is going to rise in the polls, and I think it's going to be somebody like Scott Stringer that we're kind of not taking seriously right now as a candidate, but has been a politician in New York long enough to know the game and to know how to get the momentum when he needs it. So my concern is that while all eyes are on Yang, someone like Scott Stringer sneaks in there.
I'm starting a rumor right now. Lynn Patton will run for mayor of New York. Lynn Patton.
Oh, you think?
You heard it here first. Lynn Patton.
Okay.
All right. So with respect to the teachers, we like to do a comparison contrast with New York because New York and Chicago are in competition to be the school systems that open the last. And I know last time we spoke, you talked about you not anticipating that at the high school level, it wouldn't be back maybe even in fall of next year. Where what's the status of New York City schools?
So high schools officially went back last week, but they're mostly they're very part-time. They're 1 or 2 days a week, and they're sitting in a classroom while the teacher zooms in from home largely. So are we calling this school? Because if it's school, then yeah, our schools are open. But nobody has previously called this kind of thing school, so I don't think so. Middle schools have a very similar situation. They're open on a very temporary basis and also have teachers zooming in from home. And elementary schools are, which de Blasio was celebrated for saying he'll get elementary schools open 5 days a week. They're still largely open 2 to 3 days a week. And they get closed all the time because we have this 2-case rule where if there are 2 unrelated cases in a school, the school is closed for 10 days. Now, that doesn't matter if a school has 20 people in it or has 2,000. 2 cases shuts it down.
And do you see that for the foreseeable future? Because Joe Biden may count that as open schools, but of course parents don't.
No.
Well, yes, exactly. Biden does count that as open schools, but that's not an open school. The candidates for mayor right now are pushing, and some city councilmen are pushing to have that 2-case rule changed. So maybe it will get changed, but there's still so much that prohibits full-time schooling in New York City, and it comes directly from the teachers union. Like we still have the 6-foot rule between kids, even though the CDC has said 3 feet is enough. And the teachers unions don't seem like they want to let that go. And also 3 feet is still too much because there's not enough space for full-time schooling for all who want it with 3 feet between them.
Yeah, my kids have been back to school like in this hybrid learning method since March 1st, and I would rather just keep them home. I mean, because the stress, it's just been such a stressful as a parent, and I have 6 kids, and 1 in college, so it's been a very stressful ordeal dealing with this hybrid learning, cutting the hybrid and then just doing all online, then going back to hybrid. It's just been so stressful, not just to me, but the kids as well.
Yeah, so the evidence is in. I mean, in terms of how harmful it's been for the kids, Karol.
Right. And you know what the worst part is, a lot of parents are saying, oh, this hybrid model is insanity and I can't do it. I'm going to keep my kids home remote. And to the administrators, it's like, oh, well, the parents want remote. That's what they said. They kept their kids remote. It's like if you gave them regular school, they would want regular school. They don't want this ridiculous hybrid thing you came up with.
Yeah, I mean, the teachers union. I mean, I just hope. I think we're seeing evidence that more and more people are having scales fall from their eyes about the teachers unions and even separating the union bosses and their acolytes from rank and file teachers. But boy, a lot more needs to happen on that front. I mean, they're such a disingenuous group, aren't they? Karol Markowicz, columnist for the New York Post, contributor to The Spectator and the Washington Examiner. Karol, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're an AM 560 listener, one thing I'm certain of is that you're not tuning in to listen to me. So I'm sorry about the next 47 seconds. But we have specifically chosen